I believe that when you create something useful for somebody, they would talk about you. They would talk about you with their colleagues, with their family, and they would recommend you. Like you should be on the top of their head. How can you be the best at what you are building?
Thank you so much for joining us, Collective Nation. We have a very special episode ahead of us. Do you mind just letting us know your background and what brought you to Butternut AI?
Sure. So thank you, first of all, Thomas, for having me on your podcast. And GenAI Collective is such an amazing community you have built. So yeah, regarding my background, so Butternut AI, I'm the co-founder of Butternut AI. It's a GenAI platform where you can build your websites and apps in under 20 seconds with just prompts. So you just tell our AI what you want to build, what your business is about, and our AI understands your entire business, the target audience, what sort of layout it should have, what sort of branding, marketing colors it should use, and it spins out the website in under 20 seconds.
Okay, so then who's the target persona that you are empathizing with? Like, what's their daily schedule? What problems are they facing? Let's say before they're using Butternut AI, what are they doing? And what tools are they using to try to solve those problems? And then let's just start there.
Okay, wow, those are a lot of questions at once. So I'll try to answer all of them one by one. So yeah, what were our users? What were they doing before they discovered Butternut AI? So I think building a website has been a problem since last 1 decade because now everything has shifted online. Even people who run on ground businesses, SMBs, lawyers, real estate agents, they need online presence. But whenever they wanted a website, they would go hire somebody and pay $10,000 to $20,000 to get their website built. So they'll hire a dev shop or they'll try to build it on Wix and Webflow, but the experience was never amazing. It was never delightful, and there was a huge learning curve because of which people used to just hire a dev shop and pay like 10, 20, $30,000 to get a simple website made. So now, after we launched Butternut, a lot of people moved from those platforms like Wix or Squarespace, or people who had hired somebody. Now they are able to build the entire business and take it online themselves, and they feel they are more in control of it. And this doesn't end at just building a website because you need to get business, right? When you are building a website, you need. How do we do that? So we take care of your SEO needs. We take care of your blogging needs. So we understand your business. We understand your TG. So we help you with the entire spectrum of marketing and SEO, other than just building the website.
Okay, so let's just hold off on the solution. Maybe we'll just dig into the problem. So, like, why do I need Butternut? Why isn't Wix good enough? And why not hire a developer? I mean, yes, so there's a cost component, but is there anything else that hiring out a developer doesn't offer? Because one of the things that hiring a developer offers is that sort of that support, that continuous. So I can just tell them what to do, and they can go off and do it. Maybe let's maybe start with Wix. Like, why not use Wix?
So try building out a website on Wix. It would take you at least, if you're not a coder, it will take you at least 2 to 3 weeks. It has a learning curve, and then the drag and drop they offer is shitty. And there is no intelligence that is there in the platform. You'll have to go through hundreds of templates to find out, what exactly you need, and then do multiple integrations, learn about SEO. But when you build on Butternut AI, the AI agent already knows what you want, and it builds it for you. And then on top of that, each business is different. You need customizations. So just the way you talk to a developer. Now the second point is how is it better than hiring a developer? When you work with a developer, there are many glitches. They have their own packages, so they are rooting for their own success. They are increasing their own revenue rather than building the best out for you. So something that can be done in like maybe 15 days, they linger on for like 3 months. And at the end, the result you get might not be what you expected. So then, for each iteration, they'll charge you extra dollars. But with Butternut AI, what we have done is, yes, you can build the initial version of the website. But on top of that, if you want to do anything, you want to do any customization, we have built an AI agent to which you can just talk the way you talk to a developer. Let's say you say, I want to build a form that takes these things as the input, so build me a form. So the entire UI, UX, the backend functionality, the database where it will be stored, the AI bot will do it for you. So it's as simple as that.
Okay, so then okay, let's bring it back again. So it's the problem is one, the cost. Or so let's start with the Wix example. One is it's very difficult to customize my website. Two, it takes a long time to customize my website. Three, time, cost, and then in terms of customizations, it's difficult to customize a website to exactly the way I want it. So that's one person. So the one person is person from Wix. Another person is I've hired an engineer. The incentives are not aligned, and also it can be cost restraining if I'm not a business. So okay, so then where is the target customer persona located? Are they at a startup? Are they a small mom and pop shop? Are they working within a large enterprise? Is that large enterprise a big tech company, or maybe it's another vertical, like it's a Nike or a Walmart? Like, who really is burning for a solution like this?
Mm-hmm. So we currently we have two segments that are hooked on to Butternut AI. The one is definitely the SMB. People who have businesses. They could be people who have businesses on ground and they need online presence, like lawyers, real estate agents, or people who are starting up their own startup. A lot of YC companies they build on Butternut. Then on the other hand, we have these agencies who have started using Butternut AI to build for their clients. So yeah, these are the two target audiences that are currently building on Butternut AI.
Okay, so let's drill into the agency. So there's two segments. So in the agency or the small business side, there's a number of agencies that are sort of vertical specific and vertical focused, like in the legal space, in small mom and pop restaurants, and all those segments. Like, why wouldn't I just go with the human that I trust? And if I'm not familiar with technology, and this AI stuff is fine and dandy, like, how do I know I can trust you? Like, why am I making that decision?
So when you say, why can't you just go with a person? So yeah, when when you're going with Butternut, you're just talking just the way you talk to any agency. So you don't have any learning curve. You don't need to know coding. Just the way you talk to a developer, you are talking to our AI. So I think that is the level of ease or comfort people find with Butternut AI that has led to us growing to 300,000 users. So I think that's one part. And then if you're working with a human, that human has its own sample space or its own experience of learning. You might need something else, but the developer is in a different zone, and they might press for something else. Or what you want, like how many times you can tell a developer to make a change. But with AI, you don't have those restrictions. You can tell AI, oh, build this form. Oh, I don't like this. Make it modern. Oh, I don't even like this. Maybe add some more colors. Okay, take this reference. You can talk to our AI unlimited number of times. Compared to a developer, no ways. Like, have you tried building a website ever?
Hmm. Yeah, of course, for 10 years, over 10 years. Yeah, of course.
Are you a developer? Coding,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, what platform do you use generally?
Well, like React, well, I would just develop myself. So that's why I'm wondering
Yeah.
why, for example, like, why wouldn't I use, like Gemini integrated into my Visual Studio Code, like, workspace? Why does it need a specialized, tool for web development?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're a coder, you know all the back end and the front end stuff. Now imagine you have a sibling who's a lawyer, or maybe in real estate or some other domain, or maybe in biotech. Now ask them how would they build a website? They wouldn't know.
Right. So, I think ChatGPT is pretty powerful. If you just ask it, hey, build me a website, give me the HTML. If you know so maybe you could ask like two stages, like, how do I build a website? It tells you HTML and CSS, and then you say, okay, well, give me some HTML code and some CSS, and let me download that. Like, let's take it to the next step. So now we have sort of the problems and the customer personas.
Mhm.
If we could talk about, like, what is the extra additional step you need to, or where is the value creation from from Butternut's perspective? Like, what is it can't be done from me just typing in a ChatGPT? Like, can you produce, like, how do I go to a website? Okay, can you produce the HTML and CSS for me? Like, can you take us that next leg of the value proposition?
Yeah. So when you're talking to ChatGPT, you can say, "Oh, okay, generate HTML for this or CSS for this." But when you ask it to build an entire website, it will give you a very shitty outcome. You can try it out. So, and it might give you HTML and CSS, but how would you make it a dynamic website? How will you make it mobile optimized? How will you see, the content generated is SEO optimized? Or how would you deploy it? Who would, like, somebody who's not a coder, how would they know how to deploy this website, how to link their domain name, how to get everything up and running, how to make each component, how to add JS into it, how to make forms? How would a non-coder know how to do this?
Hmm.
So ChatGPT is good to give you snippets, but it cannot just build the entire website for you. Give it a shot and you'll see what the outcome is.
So okay, well, I think that it can give you it can instruct. So I think if someone were patient enough, I don't think this question of can it do it or not. So, okay, so how about this? Let's tease out what you mean by shitty. Like what does that mean to you? Is it feature incomplete? Like does it not give you certain pages? Does it not give you really beautiful? Oh, maybe it doesn't give you a beautiful web page. Maybe it's not well designed. Can you tease out what that means by not being meeting some certain threshold?
Yes, so it will give you a very raw HTML and CSS, just the way you get at W3 schools when you are learning stuff. So, yes, you don't get an entire website. You don't get a fully functional website that is ready to go live. It will give you, I would say, things in parts and pieces. And, the content you'll have to modify. It's a very basic HTML, CSS that it will produce. It doesn't have JS in it. It doesn't know, what buttons will do. So that's, I would say Chat GPT and everything is really good for content, but when it comes to coding or building websites, we still need very specialized applications that could understand, from your prompt to deployment. Can some, that application that can go from prompt to deployment. We really need those applications, and that's what Butternut is doing.
Okay, so key issue is that it's underdeveloped what it outputs. Butternut AI is different because of is it what is it that you're sort of building around that? Is it multi-step prompts that you're able to progress to a well-designed website? Is it your compound AI system? So you're very good at developing information retrieval from some sort of knowledge base and incorporate that into the website. Could you break down what are the core problems that you solve? Because there's a wide range of solution space here. And so, how did you arrive at the solution that Butternut specializes in?
So there are two parts to it. First of all is building a website. We save you the hassle of going through hundreds of templates and finding the right content, images, the right layout for your business website. So when you prompt in your business name and a description about your business, our AI, our model understands what sort of business, what sort of category it is, what sort of layout or pages you require, what sort of content. We generate the entire content. So that is one part. On the other part is once that website, you get the initial website in 20 seconds, a lot of like the users, they want to build things on top of it. So we have built this AI bot where you can talk to this bot and say, hey, can you integrate a form? Maybe you're building an events page website. So you say, hey, can you make a form that takes these fields as the import, like name, date, or the payment or anything, and you prompt that to the chatbot, and it will build it for you. So yeah, you don't really need to know coding. You don't really need to do drag and drop. It is just the way you talk to a developer. You are talking to the system to get the initial version of your website, and then you talk to the bot to build on top of it. So it's as simple as that. So it's not just building one page of website. You can now build, very, like, you can integrate APIs, you can do more complex JS stuff. You can do all of those things by just talking to our AI agent. That's it.
But if we could go underneath the hood there, like why talk to your AI agent and not do what I was saying before with ChatGPT? Like what? Like maybe we could just talk about the innovation. Um, like, how do you think about the problem space? What is the constraining factor? Is it the power of the model? Is it, yeah, I co-authored Stanford DSPi. So, uh, we're really good at decomposing problems into modular searchable problems and then improving the demonstrations that go into the prompt. Is it the demonstrations that those prompts and demonstrations need to be of a higher quality than if you were to use ChatGPT? Like, what is the engineering solution that you have created that makes me not want to just use some other solution?
So I think the entire engine that we have built by building our own model by scraping like millions of websites online and combining different LLMs. So I think the entire engine that we have built is powerful enough to just to have a memory. So when you talk to Chat GPT, you might just say, okay, build this thing or that. But when you talk to our system, it has a memory. It understands what you like, what you don't like. And, when you're changing something, all the changes you're making, what is the style? Like if you say, okay, generate this section, a services section, ChatGPT might just give you a random HTML, CSS. But when you are talking to our agent saying, okay, generate this section, it already knows your business, the ethos of the business, what you have built, and it builds on top of it. So, yeah, definitely, I think the entire engine of our own model that knows different business categories, different layouts, that understands the code and build the entire code from scratch for you. The other is, how we have integrated different LLMs with it. And third is definitely the feedback loop that understands what you already have and gives you something on top of it.
How are you thinking about in your development the difference between using a fine-tuned model versus having a very well-crafted uh, prompt and instruction set? I guess, do you have a take on using smaller, cheaper models versus just dumping everything into a larger model?
Smaller, cheaper model, you mean the one they are available in the market, or can you reiterate the question?
So the key problem with that of using um, open source models that are sort of freely available is that, one, first of all, they haven't gone through as many epochs in their training, so they aren't as accurate, but they're cheaper. And you can also self-host. So, for example, like when you ping the OpenAI's API, they have to get a spread in terms of every single time you ping their API, they have to charge a margin on that, and so that actually impacts your cost basis. Whereas if you self-host the model, although you're now responsible for maintenance of that model and training and fine-tuning the model, you now have increased flexibility and control over that model in terms of the data that gets trained on that model. And so, one of the things that we work on is like, can you get open source models to perform just as good as larger models? And what we found is that you may not be able to get to the exact same performance as if you were to use a Llama model compared to an OpenAI model. However, you can bridge the gap significantly just by improving the demonstrations and instruction set that goes into that model. So, curious if your team has a philosophy around sort of open source but improve the systems around the model versus closed source, but because we sort of leverage the higher accuracy levels of those models.
I think to answer this question, for anybody who's building into AI, you need to understand what is the problem you're solving, and you should not be reinventing the wheel. So when it comes to content generation, you don't really need to build your own model. You can just use LLM, OpenAI, or Sonnet, and they are good enough. You can do a lot of prompt engineering on top of your prompts, and they give you a very nice output. But when it comes to coding, yes, these LLMs, I won't say OpenAI is good enough, where you just put in a prompt and you get the desired output. So for that, yes, you really need to train your own model, and and on top of that, so that that model understands what you need, what you require, what you are training it on your own data set. So it depends on the problem you're solving, whether it is content, whether it is video generation, whether it is image editing. So you really need to understand the problem in hand and the solution you're looking for. I would say the best is to not reinvent the wheel. If the solution is already there with these LLMs, and you can do prompt engineering, and they have a lot of things you can work on their APIs. But then if you have a problem in hand for which they do not provide a solution, yeah, better to go with open source LLMs or build your own model.
Okay, so we've defined the persona, the problem that they're experiencing, how you solve it. The way you solve that is through specialized in context models that have context of the business. People may not want to talk to ChatGPT because essentially they may not have full context of their data and they may not know how to prompt it properly. And then the solution, we kind of talked about your perspective on the solution, which is um, website development comes pre-baked, fine-tuned within OpenAI models. So you don't have to worry about fine-tuning an open source or any other fine-tuning any sort of model as much. So then maybe the next step is, okay, uh, go to market. Are you how do you think about reaching your customers? Is the ideal customer coming through the door through maybe your talks or your LinkedIn posts? Like, can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I think so. We have grown to 300,000 users, and it has all been through word of mouth. So the interesting story is how Butternut got started. So we were tinkering around with different ideas, and this was one idea that really, it clicked. It clicked because me being a coder, I've built so many websites on in my life, but I've never been delighted. And I've seen the software development, the entire industry. So the hypothesis was like, if I have to, me being a product manager or me being a business owner, if I plan to build an app, something like Uber, uh, can I do it without the need of developers? Can I build the entire interface and the backend with just natural language? So that is where we are going. But how do we start? What was the lowest hanging fruit? That was like any business that is on ground or online, they need a website. So we built an MVP. We put things together. We built an MVP and we launched it. How do we launch it? How did we launch it? I just put up a tweet saying, "Hey, I built this website, Butternut AI, on which you can build your own websites in just under 20 seconds. Why don't you give it a shot? And would love to hear your feedback." So I was hoping for 20, 30 people in my network or maybe second connections to just give it a shot and just wanted to understand the feedback and see if we were going in the right direction or not in terms of building. But what ended up happening was the tweet blew up. And yeah, within 48 hours, we also launched on Product Hunt and we were the top product there as well. After that, I think a lot of newsletters, podcasts, they picked us up. We were, the SEO became really strong. We got so many backlinks. And since then, it's been growing. It's the word of mouth that's playing the role here. So it's all product led growth for us right now.
But how do you make that turn that into a repeatable engine and make sure that you can consistently grow, expand reach? Like, what is it? Would you say okay, like 80%? You don't want to give numbers, but majority come through blog posts, majority come through product hunt, or majority come through Twitter. Like, how do you continuously sort of build up that engine for Butternut?
So for us, we haven't. For now, we are focused on building the product and making it seamless. We haven't done any outbound marketing as of now. But when it comes to how people discover us, when I talk to the users and understand how they are discovering us, yes, I don't have a percentage right now, but a lot of them they do find us from Twitter or somebody in their circle know about Butternut AI, and they got that referral from there. So I would say podcasts and newsletters, they are the major source of people discovering us.
Hmm. And if I'm a business owner, going back to the agency model, like how is the sort of the business model structured? I'm trying to think about on an economic basis. Like, okay, so it makes sense. I may not, be as sort of driven to just Google the answers on ChatGPT or, go through ChatGPT or go through Google. I might want someone to hold my hand through that process. But then on the other hand, I'm someone who doesn't think so I'm sort of in between here where I don't want the hand holding of an agency because a lot of these agencies on a per month basis may cost a few $1,000s, but I'm also not someone who's as driven enough to Google around. So I guess like how do you structure the business model, or maybe it's just sort of completely free for users now? Like, how do you think about that for now?
Yeah, for users to build, it is completely free. They can build, they can edit the website for free, they can use all the features for free. But once they want to take it live, they want to connect their domain name and take it live, that's where the subscription kicks in, which is like $15 a month. So it's as simple as that. You can build it for free and see it, whether you get the desired result or not. So we have tried to remove as much friction as possible from the users. We don't require you to sign up or do anything when you're building. Just build, see for yourself, and then see, whether it suits you or not.
And how did you decide upon the $15?
Yeah,
Curious.
so I think, we are still evaluating the pricing model. We might increase it in the future, but $15, after speaking to a couple of customers, it just felt like a decent pricing. And the competitors, they were in the similar space. So we're like, okay, let's try with this and see how it goes. But in future, we are planning to increase this pricing.
Yeah, and the reason why I asked is because that's a significant cushion to what agencies would be charging their customers. So it's always very difficult in the AI space because there's such little comps right now. I mean, everyone's just figuring it out, and so it's hard to figure out what the right pricing is. So maybe let's just take a step back. We've kind of learned about Butternut AI. It's kind of got under the hood of other builders, like what lessons they could learn from identifying a problem, identifying the solution. How do we actually get customers and grow an AI startup? Can we just dive into how you think about AI's role in software development moving forward? How do you envision the advancements in AI models and software development paradigms? So, for example, software development started off with waterfall development, where you'd sort of iteratively progress through these different phases. Then we sort of shifted to agile web development. And it feels like a lot of these frameworks for software development are going to be breaking down, given what we can do with models, particularly with some of some of these models are integrated within your workflow. How do you think about structuring your team's development and planning for futures, like what you want to get done for this sprint? Has that completely changed for you and how you think about development?
Yes, definitely. I mean, the world of software development is going to completely change in next 5 years. But in the last 3 years, we have seen a lot of change with GitHub Copilot, with these LLMs there, the Sonnet 3.5 being so powerful. I think now, yes, in future, we would need less developers, less QA, less testers, maybe less product managers as well. So I think, yes, the software development, it is evolving at a very faster pace, and now you don't really need to be an expert. You need to know what you want, but then with these LLMs being so powerful, you can put your pieces together and get out something. So yes, that's the future where we are heading, where we would need less coders. Specialized knowledge is important, where you can definitely say, okay, this is not going right, I need it to be this way or that way. But you will be able to do a lot of things with just natural language without you knowing a lot about coding or front end or back end. You can, if you know how to put pieces together, you can build very good applications as well.
But how do you think about differentiation? So, for example, for Butternut, why are you confident that we can offer value to the customer better than anyone else, and we don't believe that if you advertise to a Butternut customer that they'll turn away? What is that secret sauce that you focus on? It doesn't need to be the exact engineering, but what do you focus on as the secret sauce for maintaining your customers?
Got it. So I think I'll answer this in two parts. First of all, this question of, again, why ChatGPT cannot do this, why Sonnet cannot do this. So I think when we are talking about LLMs, we should be considering them as the infra layer. On top of that,
Right.
these are the world is building different applications on top of those, which are very
Right.
powerful and which are targeting very special niche. So I think, like if when iPhone App Store came up, that became the layer. And on top of that, when Uber, Snapchat, Facebook, all these apps came, they were $1 billion industry in themselves. So yeah, so that's one part.
Sure, but with Airbnb, the secret sauce was the network effects of having hotels and customers. With Uber, it was getting the chicken and egg problem of getting drivers on, and then engineering the economics. So how do I economically engineer someone to not be a taxi driver but still be like, that was the secret. Like there was still an immense amount of work into like a lot of technical problems. Like, how do you identify the most efficient route? When you have, there's all these other engineering problems that's kind of what I wanted to dive into as well.
So I think when you are looking at these apps, you are always looking at what is the problem they are solving. So when WhatsApp, it helped connect people with Facebook as well. So it is about how, like Photoroom, I think that's an amazing app that helps e-commerce owners build amazing photographs for their products. So they are solving for a very particular niche, and they're very successful there. The same way when we are talking about Butternut AI, it's like if a business needs online presence, how do we get them to just get it ready to go live in just under a few minutes, without them putting a lot of thought into content or the layout and everything. And why is it powerful? Why people are turning into Butternut other than other platforms? I would say, first of all, we understand our consumers. We understand what they need. They are not, I won't say they are, back-end developers. They are not developers. They need something very simple, something they can understand. So I think first is the ease of use that is attracting customers. The second is definitely our support in case they need it. There's a learning curve. We help our users with that in case they require. But I think the simplicity to use Butternut AI, the simplicity to understand it, is what is leading other people to move from other platforms and use Butternut AI instead.
Okay. Yeah. Understood. And I guess along the journey, I mean, obviously you're going to come across this. I think you're going to come across a number of setbacks. Could you talk about maybe there hasn't been any setbacks in Butternut, but I guess how do you reconcile sort of the need for psychological resilience in building up the company, and just any sort of frameworks you have for diagnosing problems with startups. Let's say there's a listener who like they're just not growing the way they want. Like, what is your framework for when you've sort of encountered those types of problems at Butternut?
So when we talk about setbacks, I would say when you're building a startup, you are getting so many lows, so many setbacks on a regular basis. So Butternut not having setbacks is, oh my God, a complete lie. Yes. But I'm a third time founder. So what I've learned in this process is you will get problems every day. But, I think I've become mature enough to understand this is the part and parcel of the journey. Problems will be thrown at you every day. You just need to figure out how to find a solution to those problems. I think a lot of first time founders, when they start something and something goes south, they're like, oh, maybe we'll just die. Maybe this is the end of the world. But I think the change in the mindset that everybody needs to adopt is things will work out your way. You just need to look at these setbacks as problems for which you need to find solutions. So I think that has been my mantra. And optimism is another thing. I think all the founders they are diehard optimists. They really believe in something that the world doesn't believe in. So I think, yeah, you can find pessimists all across the world, but founders are optimists. So you really need to be optimist about it. So I think these things, the combination of these two things really help me keep myself motivated and just move ahead. So, and make progress.
But if we could get into some sort of some concepts, like what have you learned from those startups before? Are there sort of particular concepts that that stuck with you because of past scar tissue, and things that you think people aren't emphasizing enough in this sort of in building startups?
Yeah. So the art of delegation is what I've learned. So initially, you bring up some task and you become really good at it. As a founder, you'll have to get your hands dirty in 10 things, and you understand, you're really good at certain things. But as you grow, you really need to understand the art of delegation. How can you put a team together, a solid team together that can take care of, maybe they might not be as good as you are, but even if they are 75% or 80% as good as you are, I think the work is done. So to grow the company, it's really important to learn the art of delegation and put the team together so that once you have learned something, get somebody to do it, and then you get on to make the company bigger, or expand on distribution or marketing. So that's what I've learned.
And what in that particular process, like what do you specialize in, and how do you think about putting together a team? So some people think that Parker or Palmer Luckey. Palmer Luckey thinks that the way you structure a team is that you should specifically specialize in one thing and then just hire people who can work on other aspects of the job. So Palmer is phenomenal at engineering, and at when he's working on VR or he's working on defense tech, like that's just what he focuses on. He lets other people handle the rest. Or are you under the mindset of I'll be the generalist and then I'll hire specialists within the organization? And if you are in the first camp of specializing, what is your specialization within Butternut?
So for me, my specialization within Butternut is definitely the product and the AI part. So, but for other things, yes, I do like to hire. I think that is the power of living in Silicon Valley, or power of building your network. Where if you like, I don't want to get into tax stuff and all those stuff. So I have my friends who are running some amazing companies. I just get them. I just delegate it to them. So I think yes, I specialize in AI part, and I look after the entire product. So that's my specialization. But then I get other experts. Either I hire them or I maybe outsource certain things to other teams to take care of. So that's
Okay, and let's dive into what does product even mean to you? Like, what are the three key things of product when you say product?
so product. First of all, it should be very intuitive. It should be easy to use for anybody.
Okay, so you make sure. So you're saying that you make sure the product is easy, or like what part of the product do you mean that you focus on?
Okay, I overlook the entire product, to be honest. So it is
Hmm.
like, first of all, the product should solve the problem you are telling. Like if we are saying, oh, you can get your website done in 20 seconds, we are giving a very good result, a very satisfactory result. Then second thing is the platform in itself should be very intuitive and easy to use. So that's the entire UI UX, what people want, what are they looking for, what are they not able to find. So I think that is the other part. And third, definitely, if people need some support, the team must be there. You should not be just putting them on some chatbot where they cannot find a solution. So either you should have, a nice support system in place with tutorials or the community, or you should have your own support team to maybe guide people wherever it's required. So these three things really can make any product really delightful to use.
Right. So that's what makes a good product. But how do you serve the product? So, for example, I can sort of detail. This is what makes good engineering. But what does a great engineer do? So, a great engineer has an ability to first break down problems and then first write out. I would say clearly communicate to their team members what they think are the key aspects of that problem, work with them and workshop what the solution would be and how that would integrate into other components and microservices within the organization. Like for you, like what are those? So that's what good product is, but what does a good product focused leader do, and what do they? What actions and criteria are they focused? Are they focused on handling themselves?
Yeah. So when we are building a product, you're putting so many pieces together. And for me as the product leader, the way I look at product development is after hearing feedback or if there's a new feature we aim to build, first of all, what is the problem we are solving with this new feature, and how, what is going to be the solution. So first, you really need to put these two things in place. What's the problem and what's your solution? And then you really need to put the strings that is going to attach the problem to the solution. And definitely, how the way I see it is, break the bigger problem into smaller problems, and then if delegate them in such a way that each person, if somebody is working on backend, they must be the master. They must have the core responsibility of building the backend for this feature. Or if somebody is building the design, they must understand the problem, they must understand our target audience, and they should build the solution keeping those things in mind. So first of all, defining problem and solution. Second, building the entire path, like breaking the bigger problem into smaller pieces, and then delegating it to the right people and making them understand the flow is how I look at the product development.
Is there an example of a recent feature that your team deployed where you can kind of walk through what that really looks like?
Yes, so we released a new feature which is built with AI. The chatbot. So a lot of people, after building the website, a lot of developers, in fact, they used to come see. I have this website, I built it, I like it, but now I want to do certain API integrations on it. How do I do that? So a lot of people,
Mm.
so a lot of people ask for certain things, and then a lot of people ask for, okay, I want to, I'm building this events. Somebody actually asked me this website. I want to build a form, and I want this to have some key input stuff. So a lot of people, after consuming all these feedbacks from people, the thing was, yes, there was this website, we understand what they want, we rolled that out. Now people want to edit it. People not edit it, I would say people want to add more features onto it. Some people are coders, some people are not coders. So how do we help them? By building a solution where we give both the options. First is, again, build a bot where a non-coder can just go and say, I want this, maybe create a form that does this, and they just input that in English, and that's all. And our AI builds everything. Now, another point is, there is a coder who might use this feature, but with maybe some button, they want to add their own JS. How do we do that? So it's like, so we built a solution where you can talk to our AI and it will generate stuff for you, but at the same time, you can also edit the code that it generates. So we solved this problem for both coders and non-coders, where you can custom build things on top of the website that is generated for you. So that is going really well. People are building many different stuff on that, on using this feature. So yeah, I think this has been, I would say, a success for the Butternut team, where we are able to get a lot more users with different use cases to build on Butternut.
Mm. Okay. Okay. So that is so as so you identify as that product leader. That's one aspect of sort of walking through an example. But one of the things I think is your superpower is actually community building. I feel like there's a lot of people around Butternut that are very enthusiastic. That's actually how I would define, at least from the outside, the way looking in is your ability to build community and get engagement from community is superb. So maybe can you talk about like your experiences from your past startups and from Butternut? Like what sort of lessons have you learned in constructing one? You can build it in the first place, like you did with the tweet, but it doesn't mean people will stay with you. And two, just because people they'll come in the door, they'll stay with you, doesn't mean they'll spread the word about your community. Um, is that a methodical process that you sort of think through? And if so, like what are those principles of creating a sustained success around that?
So I think, yes. Now, when you put it that way, I see that I have built a lot of communities in my life in different areas. I am the global ambassador for TED Talks. I have been a global shaper for World Economic Forum. I built this pet parents community. It has more than 20,000 pet parents all over, like these WhatsApp groups in India. So I think, yes, the way I look at it is, whenever I'm building something, I'm solving a problem and I'm solving for somebody. Now, how do I find these people? How do I, first of all, create something that is useful for them? I believe that when you create something useful for somebody, they would talk about you. They would talk about you with their colleagues, with their family, and they would recommend you. Like, you should be on the top of their head. How can you be the best at what you are building? First of all, pick one problem and be the best at it. That's how I feel, I've been able to build communities. And second of all, I think I understand the value of people around. And I think maybe it's just a part of my nature, where, I'm constantly talking to people. I'm constantly trying to understand their problems and trying to solve their problems using, like, when you talk about Butternut AI, whenever somebody is using Butternut AI, if they're facing any issue, they can just get on a Zoom call with us. I think when people come, and when sometimes they talk to me, sometimes they talk to some other person in our team. But when they talk to me, just today, somebody set up a call and he's like, oh, I was comparing this one, two platforms, but I want to go ahead with Butternut. First of all, I like your product. And second of all, he's from India. So he's like, I want to just support more of these founders. So I think, when you that's the part of building a community, right? Every community serves some purpose. Like, if there's a pet parents community, you're serving their needs. If you're building Butternut AI and you're building for business owners, you need to understand their needs and just cater to them. You need to understand what they want. And that's the power of community. That's why people will root for you, because you are providing solutions to their problems and you're doing it in a very easy fashion. I think that's the mantra.
Yeah, I think with, for example, with Stanford DSPi, one of the reasons why we've become quite, and I've sort of reflected on why our, we have sort of 16,000 stars on GitHub. Why us? There's a lot of LM tools out there. You could use LangChain, you could use LlamaIndex. Why we sort of broke out? And I think it's not even a matter of us being so special. I think we did devise a interesting set of concepts, but I think it's more so just a matter of, like, people had this burning problem where they hated prompt engineering. They hated sort of iterating on a prompt all the time. And so they were banging their head against the wall to find a solution until someone just came across and gave them a solution. I think with Butternut AI, this is a humongous headache. Like, I started off in Ruby on Rails, web development. I had to relearn. So, and then Django kind of came into popularity. So I had to go learn Python. Then, then sort of some of the Node.js stack frameworks became popular. So you have to go learn that. Or I could go hire, for tens of thousands of dollars, a website developer. Or I could go to an agency for thousands of dollars. So I think this is a problem that has been burning for a lot of people for a long time. And, forgive me if I think it's a function of just, and not just how special you guys are, but really just like how important the problem is in general. Like, someone would needs to come and solve this problem, because it's a problem that's burning, could not have been solved before generative AI, and so it just creates a huge vacuum. And so maybe you have a different take on that. I guess it's sort of like, is this destiny, or is this more of someone would have solved it? It needs to be solved.
I think you are 100% right. That's what I'm saying. Community, I don't think so there's anything special about me or anybody else in my team. It's the product. People vouch about the product, and then they know, okay, this is the face behind the product. It's not like, okay, Pritika built this, that's why I need to go and use it and I need to stick with it. I think it's the product, the problem, the solution you have built, just how you have built it with your own, product. Yes, it's the product, not the people.
So as you think about a framework for deciding whether this AI tool should be turned into a startup, how do you think, what is your framework for thinking through that? So I think with Butternut, it was an MVP. With maybe as you evaluate other people as companies, is there a framework or a step-by-step approach that you have to determining, is this just a weekend project, or this is something that could be sort of venture-backed in a company?
So Butternut AI, so it was not the only problem I thought of solving. So I made a list of around 60, 70 different ideas or problems I could solve. Some were in education, some were in marketing or advertising, and Butternut was one of the ideas. So how I actually thought of going ahead with this, first of all, I think whenever you build something, you really need to understand. First of all, you must be confident about the market, that the market is huge enough to cater. Second of all, you must feel that you're confident that you can cater to that market. You're confident in yourself that you can build something because you understand certain parts of it. Me being a coder, me being a business owner, I think I understood so many parts of it, so many parts of software development, of running a business, putting your business online, doing the SEO and all those things. And third of all, I feel you must be passionate, because it doesn't matter whether the market is big or not, or whether you have the skills or not. If you're not passionate about the problem you're solving, it might not lead you to anywhere. So I think wherever I find something at the intersection of these things is where I go ahead and build something. And then yes, once I have found that I think this is a good idea, I think the key is to build something. It could be a scrappy thing, but build something and just let it out in the world. Maybe try to launch it on Discord or wherever you think your potential customer is. Don't show it to your siblings or your friends, because those being the nice people, they'll say, oh yeah, this is amazing, I will use it. But rather, they're just being kind to you. Rather go and talk to strangers who you think are your potential customers, and see if they'll pay for it. Or if not, what do they think can be a better version of it, or what are the features, what are the problems they are facing which your solution is not able to solve. So I think that has always been my way of seeing whether this idea is worthy of building a startup, or is it just an idea which can be a side project.
But everyone says choose a big market. But people will be like, oh well, everyone in the United States could use a note taking tool. Like, how do you make sure that you're not just fooling yourself on the market side?
So yeah, so on the market side, it depends. You can build a $10 million business or $100 million business or your unicorn. So it completely depends on how you envision your business to go. And when it comes to fooling, I think there are so many hypotheses that are involved when you're building a startup, and you only know whether those things are true or not by implementing stuff. You can go into this analysis. I see a lot of people, they just be like building their hypothesis and just trying to find theories around these things and being in that analysis paralysis state. But I think just to get out of it is just build, show it to your potential customers and see if it is worthy or not. It could not be $1 billion idea in the moment, but if you see that you're solving a burning problem, you know one thing will lead to another, and you will find I mean, something starts with something small. Just the way we started with websites, and the aim is to help people build Uber like apps with just prompts. The same way I feel, you start with something small, be very solve one problem, don't solve for everyone, build one niche, solve for that problem, see if it is working, and then you can expand anywhere else. Just the way Levi's, they started with jeans, now they are $1 billion business. Just the way,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
I think there's a middle ground. I think there's a middle ground between VCs who say go after a large market, and then there's also hackers who say you never really know. I think like you should know that there is a burning desire, but there should be incremental customer personas that you can see slowly expanding out in concentric circles to a larger market. So you start with developers in San Francisco, but you can see that you can create a clear picture that the experiences of developers in San Francisco are relevant to people outside of San Francisco, and that's how you can kind of draw those concentric circles. Where I'm always hesitant when people have never even gone through that exercise. They're like, well, it's a burning desire for these sets of people, and there's about 5,000 people with that problem. But I don't know how that gets to a big market, but I'm going to solve that problem anyways. It's like at least paint the picture because then that will impact the product roadmap and how you expand the large number of people. Because if you're not intentional about that, you might find yourself in a very small pond with not enough people who actually need your product, and then you've kind of sunk all this time into something you're really passionate about, but not a lot of people need. And so that's kind of my take on the issue.
Well, yeah, so I would say my take is, yeah, a little different. I would say start something. If it works out, you can expand into many different verticals. Like, you don't really need to stick with, oh, I started with this idea today and I'm going to be doing this even after 5 years. But that idea will always evolve. A lot of companies, you see, they started with something but then they evolve. That's how I feel the evolution of a product or a startup happens. You start with something small, make something work, find the PMF maybe for that segment, and then you can expand everywhere else. Once okay, this company stands for maybe this company can take care of my taxes. Then they'll be like, oh, we can also take care of your 401k. Oh, we can also take care of these things. So you really need to be best at one thing first, so that people remember you, and you have the credibility. You need to build the credibility for that, and then yes, the world is yours. You can go into different verticals.
Well, I wouldn't say it's. I would. Would you characterize it as a different take, or how would you say it was different? Your take?
So yeah, the way you're saying that you need to know the market, like you need to know if it is a big market from day one. I would say
No. You go after a small one, and at least so. For example, like with tax, it's so obvious you could go after 401k after focus on one thing, and then go after 401k, and then go after HR, and then go after that's a very clear I'm going to focus on this one particular thing, and then out of concentric circles you can develop a more go after the large markets afterwards. But if there's no general sense, I think people take this for granted. For example, with Butternut, it's very clear that you focus on this one particular customer segment of people who are not developers, who are mom and pop shops who don't know code. And then it's very clear that, okay, engineers could also use this because, that's another aspect that could be applied. But a lot of people will just say, well, I'll figure it out. And then like don't have any sense of like the 401k path, the handling of the payroll, there are, I think people in tech take for granted that not everything expands out into $1 billion market because so many things that we work on do end up expanding it and being applicable to everyone in the, whatever in the US.
Look at Loom, look at Calendly. They solved some, a very
Right.
basic problem, but look at those companies.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think exactly. You just have to you solve one particular problem, and then from there, once you solve that one particular problem, so meander your way to a large market. You don't need to start from day one on a large
You don't
market.
need to be everything for everybody. You need to be
Right.
something very specialized.
So maybe okay, we've sort of done a whirlwind tour of kind of the problems of Butternut that solves the solution, how you think about yourself as a leader, how you think about go to market, and then we've sort of extrapolated that as key lessons to the future of AI and software development. I guess as the final question, 1 year from now, what is the AI industry going to look like? And you don't have to know exactly. However, the future is predicated upon the facts we know about today, the slopes of improvement. It's very clear, the scaling laws are very clear. Now, we may unlock some innovations on the hardware side, but that's all to say that, take what we know about the world today, and that's really more important to extrapolate out to the future than being exactly precise on what's going to happen in the future.
Well, when we are talking about the future, I think I'm very excited because being in SF, I could really see, how we are actually building the future. And so the way I see the future is okay. I won't just say about software development, maybe in general. So just the way I remember a couple of years ago we used to talk about avatars, like having your own avatar that understands you and does things on your behalf. I think AI agents are going to do those things for you. Like I'm not very fond of shopping, but if I need to like if my AI agent or my avatar understands my personality, it I can say, okay, this is the kind of dress I need for this kind of occasion. That can go online, find me the best 5 options, and bring it to me. The same way, if I'm running a business, there is a business avatar that understands, okay, we need to do marketing or we need to build a website. Butternut is one of those, right? So you don't really need to know anything. You can just, with the help of it, you can just get that task done. So I think the future is a lot of AI agents working together and solving problems for humans, and a lot of day-to-day problems will be solved. I would say in terms of work, yes, in terms of marketing, in terms of development, in terms of maybe day-to-day problems as shopping or food or all these things, they'll be solved using AI agents. And these, instead of people working together, these AI agents will be working together with each other and building the future. And we'll be free enough to do many more creative stuff. So I think in future we'll have a lot of value for creative parts, like people, writing, building a story by themselves or doing painting by hand. I think the value will increase with time, whereas all these mundane tasks, or not mundane, I would say a lot of white collar jobs as well, a lot of white collar tasks as well, will be taken over by AI agents.
Why is that? Why does it need to be taken over by AI agents? For example, like I love the GUI interface and I hate typing instructions out. I think that like there are certain problems where I can tell my AI agent what to do, but I like a GUI interface. Like, what do you think is going to be those juicy problems where an AI agent will be way more way more suited to the task?
So first of okay, so I can tell about different sectors that I'm seeing that will really be impacted. First of all, is e-commerce. For e-commerce, so I've been into the e-commerce industry, and I understand how important it is to actually build the product portfolio in terms of photography, videography, in terms of building TikTok videos or Instagram videos, and you need to hire. You need to have an entire studio, hire so many people, work with so many influencers. But with the AI influencers that are coming into play, I think a lot of it will be taken care of. Like, having a team of two can actually do all those things for which you right now maybe need a team of 20 or 30 people involved. So one is product photography. You have one SKU, maybe give an AI file, not AI file, or maybe a PNG for another SKU, and it does all the product photography according to your guidelines. Or if you like these AI influencers, I think they can do a lot of TikTok videos for e-commerce brands or other brands. So yes, I mean, if you enjoy doing it, you can definitely do it. But if you don't enjoy it, you can outsource it to your AI agent, and I think that's where the future is.
I think it will be relevant when one customer experience is not enjoyable. So, for example, I personally do like shopping. I like clicking through the pictures, and I would prefer to do it myself for clothes or for something like that. However, when I think about logistical tasks, for example, for travel, I do not care. If I hop on this flight, then that flight, and stay in this hotel, just choose the most convenient within a budget for me, please. I don't want to have to think through this. So it's customer experience. Is there a gradient at which I enjoy or don't enjoy? If it's more of a task that needs to be completed, I think that's one. Two, I think tasks that are subcomposable into separate pieces. So different agents can handle those separate tasks. You were giving the example of, uh, you know, uh, in e-commerce. That's a great example. So composable tasks. I think like three, where there's a specialist in the past handling these issues. For example, what you're doing, maybe a digital marketing expert or a web designer would be handling in the past. So I think maybe those are some key areas for people to think about why AI agents are relevant. And it's not just throwing AI agents out, because I think it's not the world is nice. The world is good the way it works. There's just these certain aspects of the world that kind of suck, and AI agents will make them really great to be able to automate that away.
Mhm. No, that's right. Yes. You like shopping, I don't like shopping. So, I'll be using certain AI agents to solve my problem, but you maybe 5 years down the line, you'll be still scrolling through different websites to find the right fit. So I think, yes, there will be a lot of AI agents, but we'll be picking which one we want and which one we want to use to solve for our problems. That's the future.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today, and hope you have a great day.
Thank you.